Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 122. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and more. Today, we are talking about Marvel's Spider-Man 2, the massive Xbox leak, the Sonic the Hedgehog, the writer's strike, the DCU, Disney Plus Ahsoka, and more. But as usual, we're going to start with our recent activities, and I will let Damian take the lead.
Yeah, so I basically just have Starfield here. Been pretty busy, but yeah, I mean, everything I said about Starfield last podcast is how I'm feeling still. All the shortcomings and complaints I had with it still apply. I think the procedural generation isn't great. Space travel isn't as good as I wanted it to be. But now that I've done more of, some of the bigger quests, I think they're really good. I think a lot of the faction quests have been a lot of fun. I haven't really done much of the main story because, with these RPGs, I always just ignore the main story and do everything else and then come back to it. But yeah, I've been really enjoying a lot of the faction quests and a lot of the quests in general. I do think some of them end kind of just kind of end. There's no satisfying ending, so that's kind of weird. And a lot of them are kind of fetch questy, but some of them that are good are really good. So I've been really enjoying that angle of it. And like I said, I do like the gameplay a lot. It feels a lot better than the other Bethesda games I have played. Shooting things actually does feel pretty good in this game now that I've done more of the combat. But yeah, all the complaints I said last time still apply. Hopefully I could finish it by next podcast. I'm pretty close to finishing everything, which is good because then everything else comes out afterward. So yeah, I'm really hoping I can finish it by then. I also do want to play Cyberpunk because I've been hearing good things about the DLC and just the 2.0 in general, and I really do want to play that. But that's a lot. I do want to do another playthrough of it, but that's another 70 hours. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Starfield has been pretty good so far. I'll have my final thoughts of it next podcast. I'm hoping to have my final thoughts so I can wrap everything up. But so far, I still been really enjoying it. Just yeah, all the complaints I said last time still apply right now.
Yeah, my girlfriend has actually been playing the Phantom Liberty DLC and everything, and she's been enjoying it a lot. So, just watching her play that and it's Cyberpunk, but it looks a lot more polished than it was before. I will give that to its credit. Now, what have I been doing? I did get a free codes, I should say, to play BOKURA. This is a indie puzzle platformer, narrative sort of driven. It's about two childhood friends sort of reminiscing about their one last adventure over when they were younger, when they were playing Pac-Man, as they call it, and nice. Sort of what this adventure entails. It is from a Japanese dev, so, stuff does get a little weird within its story and its plot, but for good reason. And it's because within the gameplay, as you move along, the perspectives between both players ends up being slightly different. So, you need to work together, you need to communicate with each other to sort of solve these puzzles together, because what one player can see, the other cannot. So you gotta communicate that to each other, and it can get frustrating. We definitely wanted to kill each other at certain points of the playthrough, but still, it is very fun. It's pretty cheap. It's only $6, and you both need a copy. Unfortunately, they did have a friend pass feature, but I think as they were getting to the release of it, it got very hard to do it. On the bright side, there is crossplay. That was the thing that I was very, very much surprised about, because crossplay, is still new within the gaming industry, and just seeing that within this small indie game title was pretty cool. So, it's available on Steam, Nintendo Switch, and also iOS/Android. So if you want to play it on either one of those devices across all of them with your friends or whatever, you can do that. The game's only 4 to 5 hours long. It took us 6 because, we're kind of bad at puzzle platformers, but yeah, it is still a pretty fun game. I definitely recommend it to those that want to play something over the weekend or something like that. Then I've been watching some things. I watched The Wind Rises because my girl really likes Studio Ghibli movies as well. And this is one that I've never seen before. And I was like, hey, well, what's it about? Apparently it's based on a true story or something like that about this guy who made planes for Japan during one of the world wars. I think it was World War II. I can't exactly remember. It doesn't really matter because, it boils down to this guy being really good at making planes and also finding love as well. So yeah, it's a visually pleasing movie, but also has a pretty good story to back it up as well. The love interest is kind of sussy. I think the guy's really, really old, and the girl's maybe underage. I can't exactly remember, but yeah, no, it's pretty sus. I will be honest. I was like, yeah, well, I guess it was different times, things that they accepted. I mean, I think the dad was okay with it or whatever. He was kind of surprised when he heard about it, but, Certain things happen within the plot where she like gets very sick and shit like that. So, still a good movie, even though it has some sussy aspects to it. Another movie that I was very much surprised about, I went to the theaters and saw Gran Turismo. So this is a movie that I have been fucking despising seeing in the theaters because of the trailer, just seeing the trailer over and over and over again. I was just like, this movie better be fucking good. And it actually surprisingly is enjoyable to watch. It is a lot of fun. So, the trailer pretty much shows you most of the movie, like what the general overall plot is. Pretty much this kid really likes playing Gran Turismo. He's like pretty much dedicated his life to like playing that game. And they set up the circuit where it's like the best Gran Turismo players are selected and they can, go into this academy to become like an actual like race car driver kind of thing. And it is kind of interesting to see how it's all played out. My only gripes with the movie is that with every fucking like gaming like adaptation movie that they do for like live action, there's always like some gaming terms, they at some points they say noob, they say get nerfed, are you mad, bro? I was like, these terms are so cringy. I was just like, it takes me out for a second because I'm just like, you didn't need those to like have in the movie for us to know that it's based on a game, because the main thing is about like, this is Gran Turismo and like this kid's really good at Gran Turismo and he uses that to become this, real life sort of race car driver. And obviously there's a lot of hurdles because like a lot of the movie, it goes from like, he's like at a low point and then he's like up there and then he goes back down and then he's up and then he's down. So like you see this arc with him a lot happening throughout the movie where he needs to overcome certain obstacles, and there's a lot of heart within the movie. There's a lot of emotion. A lot of the characters are kind of interesting as well. The dad fucking hates him. He just hates that like, man, why are you playing this stupid ass game? But like at the end, obviously, he does come around, and that made me a little emotional, because I'm just like, yeah, it's very nice to have parents in your life or just like figures like that really support you in what you're doing. And the fact that he got that towards the end of the film was very much satisfying. But yeah, it's a very much enjoyable just like race car movie. I mean, there was also this other movie that I saw years ago. It's called Ferrari. For exactly who's in it, I know it's like pretty notable actors, but that's also like a very, really good, like based on a true story, like racing movie that I really liked. So this one, not exactly at the same echelon, but definitely enjoyable. And I would recommend it to people that just want to watch a good movie. Honestly, it definitely surprised, I think, pretty much everyone that, it was going to be good, because obviously video game movies and adaptations and shit like that, they always get flagged for being really bad. And when they delayed it because of the strike, because they were like, let's hope that the strike ends at that point, but it didn't. And then they just released it in theaters. So it probably is kind of dead in the water. It's on digital now. So if you want to watch it at home and buy it that way, you can. Definitely worth a watch, in my opinion. Then the last thing I saw was The Boys season 1. My girlfriend wanted to watch this because she's never seen it. She doesn't know anything about it. And I kind of forget what happens within most of season 1. When I was watching it, I was like, oh yeah, that did happen. Like that shit happened. But yeah, it's still like one of the best like superhero show things ever. Like it is so good. Episode 1 really does like hook you in, and I think throughout the entire season is just like nonstop, just like engaging content. These characters are so interesting and so much fun to just watch them do like fucked up shit and just stupid things, and just seeing like these superheroes actually be like bad guys and just like dickheads in general was obviously like a very different thing for like the superhero genre in general. So I think that just seeing how this show and this story has evolved over the years, I think season 4 is about to come out soon. So I'm not sure if we're going to get to that. I'm not sure if we're going to rewatch everything before then, because I know that the spinoff show just came out or whatever with its first 2 episodes. So, we got a lot to catch up on. And obviously I forgot a lot of these stuff. So it's a good thing that we are rewatching everything. But yeah, The Boys, if you haven't watched it yet, and I think that is Damian included.
Yeah,
watch
I still haven't.
Watch
I haven't watched that. Yeah, I haven't watched that or Invincibles yet. And like both of those I know are like very good. Mm-hmm. So I will get to that. I really do want to watch it though. Like that's been on my bucket list forever. I just need to like sit down and do it. So
yeah, I definitely need to watch Invincible as well, just because Stephen Young plays that main character. So I gotta see what that shit's about. But moving on from there, let's get into the general gaming news. So, last episode, Damian might have jinxed it. He was like, the state of play is going to have nothing. It had a few notable things. I will say that, we thought it was going to be mostly indie games, but obviously fucking PlayStation was just like, no, we're going to have some really high profile games, including Marvel Spider-Man 2 on here. So they showed off Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, once again coming out December 7th. Marvel Spider-Man 2, they showed off a bunch of the open world stuff, the suits, sort of how certain gameplay aspects work, and then last but not least, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which has a official release date of now February 29th, 2024.
Yeah, that's fucked up. So like that game comes out the same month as wait, shut up, State of Play. That comes out the same month as Persona 3 Reload, and that's insane. I really hope I don't have a busy semester because that's gonna suck. But either way, actually, it wasn't like a bad State of Play. I mean, again, I think State of Plays always have the issue where like they just don't have like any surprises a lot of the time. It's mostly just like things we know. Yeah. I was joking because I'm like, there's no way Capcom is going to show anything to Stay of Play. Like, the Aravi showed like everything. What else could they show? Oh, here's the RE4 remake DLC. I'm like, okay, there you go. Capcom always got Sony's back. But yeah, from what they've shown, like the Spider-Man gameplay looks really good. Obviously a bunch of previews went out for the game, and yeah, I'm just so excited for it. Like I think all the open world stuff looks really cool. Just a lot more improved from the first game. The web wings look really fun to control. And it doesn't look like it's gonna be like like obviously web swinging is still a thing you're gonna do, but like that sort of extra movement option sounds really fun to do as well. I think the combat in general just looks a lot better than the first game, which is saying a lot because I really like the combat from the first Spider-Man. So it just looks like it's everything but better. So I'm very excited for Spider-Man 2. And Final Fantasy VII Rebirth looks fucking really good as well. I'm very excited for it. I'm happy to keeping a lot of things that made Remake really good, like as in the combat. I think the combat is still probably my favorite out of any Final Fantasy game. It's really good. A lot of crazy story stuff happening. They're going to be retreading a lot of the story beats that people wanted them to do, but it's probably going to get weird at the end like Remake did, so we'll see how that works. But yeah, like graphically it looks gorgeous. Like I'm happy the game's still pretty silly. Like there's a lot of silly things going on. And yeah, like Rebirth just looks so good. And it comes out like way sooner than I thought it was. So I was hoping it was like March at least, but it's not. So that's gonna be fun. But yeah, overall it was a pretty okay State of Play. Like they showed things I want to see, but again, no real surprises or anything. So.
Yeah, the fact that we got Spider-Man 2 in it was just, enough for me personally.
Yeah.
Just seeing how the new gameplay stuff that they showed off, such as, both Spider-Man just being able to help each other out within certain missions, and also I think they're hinting at Mysterio also being in the game with that one random guy that we see dressed in purple, and on top of that there's like the weird green mist thing that we saw as well, like that icon. Yeah. So it's pretty obvious that they're trying to hint at Mysterio. Hopefully
give me Mysterio.
Yeah, I think that is going to be a lot of fun with just like the side missions and whatnot, and also these suits. I think that was like a big takeaway for a lot of people. Seeing the black suit, Raimi suit, was a big thing for a lot of people. But my thing was just seeing the 10th anniversary Miles Morales suit. It's the one where he's in, I think, the all black with like the red accents on it or whatever. Yeah. Now, when I first saw it, when I was reading the comics, I was like, this kind of looks bad. It's grown on me over, I guess, like the few years since it came out. But I hope that it looks just as good in the game as we saw within this trailer.
Yeah, it's also cool that every suit has like recolors now, so that's pretty cool. Also, like I saw people like when the game goes on PC, like they could probably use those slots for like more like custom skins too. Yeah. So like, that's pretty cool. But yeah, it just seems like they're putting a lot of care into this game, and I know we're both very excited for it. I know Chad's about to explode when that game comes out, so I'm very excited for it as well, though. So yeah, I cannot wait for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, just as like a side thing, I've been trying to 100% the remaster because I actually never did. Because when it came out, I literally just played it just to see the new Peter Parker model. So I'm just going through the remaster, doing everything over again, and I just can't wait until I get back into Miles Morales because I really do like that game, and it's been since launch since I played that one. So I'm very much looking forward to Marvel Spider-Man 2, and it has officially gone gold, which is great. We got this sort of actor video with them being like, "It's gone gold, guys! Get excited for it." And I'm glad that Insomniac Games have not necessarily crunched or really pushed their developers because they literally announced this a month before it has come out. So obviously they were prepared and sort of looking forward to them finishing the game well in advance before the game has officially released.
Yeah, and we got more news over the stupid face. We got more. So yeah, like Yuri, voice actor for Spider-Man, he did like this like interview or something, and he's basically like he wants people to get over like the new face. I kind of agree. We've talked about this so many times.
I have personally on my own channel a lot, but go on.
Yeah, we've talked about it like a lot. And at this point, it just is what it is. Like, I think it's fine if you don't like it. Like, but like, I feel like just carrying it over for like, I don't know. When the remaster came out like 3 years ago at this point, like, get over it. Like, it's fine. Like, again, like, am I the biggest fan of the new face? Like, I don't know. Like, I really don't care that much. But I will say, I think the old face probably looked a bit better just because it feels like it stuck out a bit more, like, compared to all the other Spider-Men. But I still don't think it matters that much. Again, most of the time he is going to have the mask on. So in like 90% of the gameplay, like you're not going to see his face anyway. It's just mostly during cutscenes and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I basically agree with him being like, I think we should just get over it at this point. It was their decision to make. And if people didn't like it, then that's fine. But yeah, I don't think it detracts from the game at all. So it really shouldn't matter that much.
Yeah, I mean, just taking the exact quote that he said within this interview, who, Insomniac Games approached him and was like, hey, we're changing the face, so then the facial animation is better. Then he said, I'm all in. He doesn't care if he looks like a goblin or whatever, as long as the performance within the game looks better for him, then he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And him saying that like people should get over it. I'm glad he said that because I've been saying this for years at this point. I feel like, people want the old face to come back, but Insomniac Games have said multiple times that like it's not going to happen just because they made that decision years ago and they went with it because, they knew what it meant to transition from the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 5 and nothing against the old actor. It's just that they used this new face to better capture how Yuri is as Spider-Man. And, like you said, he's going to be in the mask 90% of the time anyways. And on top of that, it's another fucking white boy. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I said this shit the last time. Peter Parker's just another white boy. It doesn't really matter what he looks like. Not necessarily. I know the whole cinematic trailer came out that got leaked from, I think, Brazil or something like that. So people have lightened up to the face more, seeing it within that particular CGI cinematic. And yeah, I mean, I think that once we actually get into the game and people actually get to see how it looks like within certain cutscenes, people will probably forget about the old face and hopefully we'll get over it because you can keep begging. You can keep saying that I don't like the new face, yada, 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 but like, you can't really do much about it other than wait for the PC version come out and have modders to do whatever the hell they want with it.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's always been like such a like I don't really care. Like I don't know. Like characters get redesigned all the time anyway. Yeah. Like when they go to from one generation to the next, like it's fine. It happens all the time. Like it really isn't anything to get worried. Like dude, Ratchet's face has changed like 5 times. Like I usually don't really care. Like redesigns is always like sometimes they don't look great, but sometimes it doesn't really matter. And for Spider-Man, it's mostly about his suit anyway, and he looks good in it, so it's fine.
Yeah, and just piggying back off of that, it's Spider-Man. We've had 20 billion versions of this fucking character. It's fine, guys.
Yeah.
It's okay. But moving on from there, Yuri Lowenthal also said that he would like to be playing Spider-Man forever. I mean, I think that most actors that play the character say this at one point within their career, hopefully. I hope that they do like playing this character. But, he's like in his 50s, and the fact that he is privileged to play this character that is within like his late 20s or whatever, he's grateful for that in and of itself. And, if they ever do decide to step away from his version of Spider-Man, he's not going to be, pissed about it or whatever. He had a good run is pretty much what he said. So, yeah, I'm glad that he's looking at, this role in a much positive light and, him being like, I want to keep playing Spider-Man forever, because I know that a lot of people that maybe read Spider-Man comics or do whatever, they may hear his voice now, which is like crazy because, he's still a newer version of this character.
Yeah, I mean, I think he fits the voice really well, even though he has he's getting up there in terms of age himself. But like, I think he voices Spider-Man really well, and like to me, he sounds like a really good version of Spider-Man. So like I have no problem with him continuing to voice like at least this version of Spider-Man forever. Obviously, if Insomniac is done with this Spider-Man story, then yeah, that would be up to whoever else wants to make a Spider-Man game to get him or whatever. But I'm really glad Insomniac did decide to get him because I think he really fits Spider-Man really well, at least to me anyway. Like he has that like that spunk. He feels like a 20-year-old in spirit. So yeah, I think he's been doing a great job, and I'm really excited to hear his performance in Spider-Man 2 because it seems like it's gonna be a lot more emotional and a lot more like, you know, because he has the black suit on. So I can't wait to hear that like some more. So, but yeah, I think he's been doing a fantastic job as Spider-Man, and for however long Sony wants to go with this series, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and like if he happens to branch off into like maybe live action, you know, maybe you could play a much older Peter Parker. Maybe if they ever decide to adapt the Spider-Man life story, where pretty much as the years go on, Spider-Man actually ages and shit like that. I think that would be cool to have him maybe in that role. I don't know. That's just me spitballing here, but yeah, you know, when the 2018 was first announced, I was hoping that it was going to be Josh Keaton as Spider-Man, but obviously, you know, my favorite didn't make it. He is Electro or whatever, so you know that's fine, I guess. But you know, Yuri has definitely grown on me over the years, obviously. So,
all right, and lastly, we have the accessibility options, and it's a lot. You know, if there's something, if there's something Sony games and Sony especially have been really good at, is the just the pure massive accessibility options. Like there's a lot of them. So there's like gameplay stuff here for obviously you could adjust all of this. You could adjust enemy health, enemy damage, stealth awareness. You could simplify puzzles and a bunch of other stuff. Like there's a lot of little things you could tweak in terms of gameplay. And then you have like the more, I guess, like general help stuff. So you could like slow down game speed with a single press of a button. So you could do that by like 70, 50, 30%. And then you have a bunch of other like stuff where you could like yank things, air launch things that like with more simple button combinations as well. And of course you have all your audio settings, you know, depending on how your hearing is. You have a bunch of crazy settings that I don't even know because I just don't. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff here. And apparently there's going to be even more post-launch.
Yes.
It's supposed to be like screen readers and captions and audio descriptions. So it looks like they're doing a lot to really cater to basically any player of like any, you know, accessibility option. Like it was like that for Rift Apart as well. Like they did a great job with that game as well. You know, I think Naughty Dog probably still have the best, you know, options there. Like the Last of Us 2 stuff was like pretty crazy. But you know, it's always good for more people to play these games, especially when it's like something like Spider-Man that has like pretty big general like appeal. So I think that's great that they put a lot of care into this.
Yeah, definitely. With like pretty much every single first party PlayStation game for like the past 5 years has had these insane accessibility options that, you know, most players may not even touch, but to those that will, you know, it's nice to have them. I think that the sort of challenge level modifiers with the enemy health, damage, and stealth awareness, I think that is such a nice thing to have because, you know, you may want to play on the normal difficulty, but hey, you know what? You may be having a hard time with the stealth sections, or maybe you're getting hit too many times or whatever. So, you know what? You could lower these down, or maybe if you want a much higher challenge, you know, you could amp these up if you want, but also keep that like normal difficulty or whatever. So, you know, pretty much catering to however you want to play. And also with the game speed thing that was leaked, I think last month or whatever. So glad to see them to finally officially unveil it. And on top of that, you can map these to the shortcuts. That's pretty much what this menu is, you know, so like the yank throw, the throwing, the air launch, all of that stuff you could map to the left or right D-pad. So that's pretty nice, especially if you don't want to like hold the buttons or whatever the case is. And then I think the last gameplay thing that I want to mention is that with the game speed. Go on.
I was gonna say I forgot I mentioned the fall damage thing. Like you can enable fall damage, if you want. So
that was the thing that they talked about earlier this week that I forgot to put in these notes. But yeah, you know, fall damage is a thing that you can enable if you want that extra realism, if you will. Personally, I'm not gonna turn it on because I'm playing the game. I want to have fun, maybe. But with the whole game speed thing, one thing that I really do like that they mentioned within the third bullet point is that like to those people that take the photo mode stuff, you can enable it and then you know slow down time and then like get like the perfect shot that you want. So
yeah, that's good. Yeah,
I can't wait to see what those, I guess, like Spider-Man 2 photographers could really cook up there, because I think that will be a lot of fun to see what they could do.
Yeah, that's actually a good option. Like, you know, a lot of these are just good for general use as well. Like, you don't even need to have like, you know, any special needs or whatever. Like, if you just need like certain things. Like, I remember in Horizon Forbidden West, I think there was like an auto loot feature, and like I turned that shit on because I didn't want to loot like everything. So like these options are just good in general to like really customize how you want your gaming experience to be, which is also just nice to have. Like, I feel like more companies should take note of like what Sony first party devs like do with this stuff, because it helps a lot. You know, it's really nice. nice.
It definitely does. And, obviously because they are part of PlayStation or whatever, they have the budget to, allocate these resources to make these things happen. So hopefully, eventually every single game could have these options to a certain extent. They don't need to have every single one, obviously, but I think having the, maybe like the audio ones or, maybe like the auto loot stuff, I think that is always, like pretty nice, like quality of life stuff to have.
All right, I guess we should get to the huge ass Xbox leaks.
Yes.
So yeah, during the whole court case thing, the whole Microsoft and Bethesda Activision buyout thing, a lot of this stuff got leaked. It just got leaked, I guess. And there's a lot of really interesting stuff here. So the first thing is like Xbox had like a bunch of plans for more accessibility stuff. So they have like a one-handed controller, mobile controllers, and stuff. And this is interesting because one of them looks like a Switch.
Yes.
So I don't know if they were going to delve into that. And also the controller looks like it has pants. So that's that's pretty interesting. But this isn't that far off from what Microsoft usually likes to do. Like they've been pretty good with accessibility options as well. So like them kind of doubling down with that sort of stuff seems like about what they would do. So yeah, like that, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of shit here.
Yes.
So anyone you want to pick out or?
Okay, well, the first thing I really want to talk about is their, I guess, like next generation hybrid console or whatever the hell they were trying to do.
Yeah.
So that was like, I think it was cloud, something like that. Let me see if I can find it.
So yeah, it's supposed to be a hybrid cloud system with like for the next gen console. So apparently, according to this like leaks and stuff, this next generation Xbox is supposed to come out 2028. Again, we don't know. None of this is like confirmed or anything. This is all internal like memos and shit. But apparently they want this next generation of Xbox to come out 2028, and it's going to be using cloud technology to sort of help make the gaming experience even better than it is, according to them. So from this blurb here, it sounds like it would actually like sort of like work within like the Xbox console itself, right? Like you own the game and shit. But I think cloud technology would help performance, or it'll deliver graphics that it couldn't do normally either, which is weird. So it sounds like very like crazy. So I mean, this is like their whole next gen thing. But also it brings up concerns is like, would this work without internet connection? Because you need the cloud and shit. Would some games just not work? Or would this be another performance option? So you would have like maybe like a standard gameplay mode where the game doesn't look as good, or maybe you have like a cloud version where it looks better than it usually does or something. Again, we're not too sure because this is all still like very early in the drafts and stuff. But it is interesting to see like they're really embracing the cloud stuff. And we've always had really mixed reactions with the whole cloud stuff. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what Microsoft does with that if they decide to go with it in the future,
Yeah, because like, cloud gaming in general, I think that was like a big thing that the FTC was like, are you going to embrace that kind of shit? And I think they kind of just threw it in there to be like, yeah, we're going to make our next generation console cloud, wink, wink, maybe not. I think that having the cloud and just like the internet capabilities of just like making the games look better, I think that just sounds silly and stupid. I don't know. I'm all for my games looking pretty, but if it doesn't perform at like a stable frame rate or whatever, like that's like what's most important to me. I feel like graphics are just like a sort of I guess like eye candy and sort of just like surface level kind of thing that I think most people should be worried about when it comes to playing games. Like the game doesn't have to look like 4K, 8K, whatever resolution, as long as it looks good and it's pleasing to the eyes and it runs stable, that's what I'm concerned about. But if they are using the cloud to make these games look better or whatever the case is, and I guess maybe it can work. I don't know. I feel like this is technology that is still kind of new, and I think that a lot of people may not even embrace it fully because a stable internet connection, it is becoming more common within the US, but even then it's still like kind of iffy within some areas.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty interesting direction to see. Mostly because, I'm so used to consoles just being like, it's just more powerful. Like, that's kind of been the case. Like, Nintendo's always been like the weird one to do weird shit. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see another company kind of go for something really weird. So we'll see how that pays off for them. Again, we're not even sure if this is like the full direction they're going to go for. But yeah, but I'm just like you, like, I think games looking really pretty and nice is good. You know, like I always like having a good looking game. But you know, at the end of the day, it still isn't, you know, the important thing about it. Like, you know, everything else is important. Like as long as the game runs fine and it looks good, like I'm okay with that. But it doesn't have to be like the most cutting edge thing ever. You know, like as long as the gameplay is like good. I mean, things like Calypso Protocol, like that game was kind of mid. It looked really pretty. Like it's one of like the prettiest looking games I've seen. But yeah, like it's just kind of mid. So like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter that much. And of course we have another really big thing here. Let me find it. Phil Spencer wanted to like, you know, he was in talks of like wanting to buy Nintendo. I know this is really making the rounds when this was like, you know, leaked out. Basically it would be a career moment if he made it happen. I never see this ever happening. I don't even know why. Like, if he said this during the Wii U era, this would make sense. But he said this during August 2020. Like, the Switch was already like selling like crazy by that point. So I don't know why he thought he's like, oh yeah, we could just buy them. Like, what? That makes no sense. Like obviously Nintendo's gonna say no, and then recently Capcom was like, yeah, if Xbox tries to buy us, we will also say no. So, you know, I'm not like a big fan of Phil Spencer being like, I'm just gonna buy everything. Like I really do feel like he has enough studios at this point where he should like focus on just making sure they're making good games. You know what I'm saying? Like have some really strong IPs, like newer IPs, and sell Xbox consoles that way. If you just keep buying companies, like it doesn't really feel like an Xbox brand. It's just like, it's like Starfield, right? Like, I don't really associate Bethesda with Xbox that much. It's more like it's just a Bethesda game, not like it's not like how I associate like Naughty Dog as like a Sony thing either. Like it's like Naughty Dog and Sony are like pretty connected together, so like I count them as both. But with Bethesda, it's still just a Bethesda game. I don't really count it as like an Xbox IP or anything. So I don't know. I feel like you should focus on that more so than just buying literally every company. So yeah.
I mean, you know, the leaked email definitely showed some things that did come to be true, such as them buying ZeniMax Studios, which is Bethesda. So, you know, and this is a email chain that he sent at 12 in the morning. Subject line, random thought. So, you know, he could have just been bullshitting here. But at the same time, you know, him being like, I want to buy Nintendo is kind of crazy. I mean, obviously it would be a career moment for fucking anyone. But if you look back on history, they tried to do that when Xbox was first coming out, and then they got laughed at the door. So, you know, for them to even try it again or even think about it, I think is very funny. And like you said, you know, this is during 2020 where the Wii or the Nintendo Switch was, you know, thriving and being successful in its own right. You know, Animal Crossing came out that year and, you know, it was doing well. And pretty much there was no Nintendo Switches on store shelves because of that game, and people wanted to play it during the pandemic. So for them to be like, you know, let's try to buy them again. I mean, it's probably never going to happen because Nintendo have always done their own thing. They've always been successful doing their own thing. And I feel like them taking orders from someone else would just not work out for them because they like piloting their own shit. You know, they like doing things their own way, even if it's not the most optimized way. People will still consume it. People will still enjoy Nintendo Switch Online for what it is. People will still enjoy Nintendo games for what they are because they make good games. And that sort of brand quality and that sort of, you know, name recognition is still there all these years later. You know, I think Nintendo's like, I think 30 at this point or whatever. I think they recently celebrated their birthday or some shit like that. But yeah, you know, for them to even think about it, it's kind of funny. But, you know, will it ever happen? I don't think so. I think Phil Spencer should just give this dream up and, like you said, just try to focus on the studios that they do have instead of just like providing money to them, but also maybe give them guidance in terms of like what they should do. Because I think that's what he wants from Nintendo is to just own them and then just have the games sit on Xbox and then be like, I just use the Xbox technology and then just rake us in money. But yeah, in reality, you have literally all of these studios that probably don't have a good idea of what they're doing, or maybe not exactly have a strong idea of like what their game should be and what makes it good. Not to say that they're stupid or dumb or whatever, but you know, they're Microsoft. They know what makes good games and what will sell for their consoles, hopefully. And maybe they could give them guidance that way. And
I do find it funny how Phil Spencer thought, he's like, oh, we're going to crush the PS5 because this was also leaked. It's like, don't worry, guys. The Xbox Series X is so much better than the PS5. And then they basically like fucking lost this generation like immediately because like no one was buying Xboxes and everyone was buying PS5s. So I thought that was pretty funny as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, everything that I guess like the off comments that he was saying about also like Baldur's Gate 3, where he didn't think it was going to be like, I guess like as successful as it is now, which, you know, I think that yeah, to be fair, he was most likely right back then. Obviously now, hindsight's, very different. But I think that, them, I guess, having all of these off comments sort of, leaked is just kind of funny. And also, he did kind of be like, it sucks that, all of this shit came out like that, but, it is what it is.
He does have pretty bad foresight now that I'm looking at. Yeah. It's like, everything he said, did not go the way he thought it would go. So that's pretty unfortunate. But again, with Baldur's Gate 3, I think no one saw that coming. I thought that game was going to be an underrated gem this year. I'm like no one's going to play this. But then everyone fucking played it. So I was wrong on that too. Because I'm like, this game looks cool, but yeah. But yeah, besides that, we had some more just leaked remasters and stuff like Fallout 3 and Oblivion remasters may come out. Red Dead Redemption 2 might get a next gen version as well. So that's exciting if you're looking forward to that. But again, none of this is confirmed either. This is all I think 2 years old at this point. I think these are all from 2021 or something. So obviously plans change and stuff. So we'll see if any of this stuff ends up being true or comes out the way we think it would come out. But yeah, it's very interesting insight into what's going on over at Xbox. And like I said, the foresight isn't that great either. So
yeah, maybe whatever Phil Spencer says, they should be like, all right, so let's do the opposite.
Let's do the opposite of what Phil Spencer's thinking.
Let's just not do what he said, and it'll work out, guys. I swear. But I guess with just the console wars and just the console generations in general, I feel like Xbox has been behind on everything ever since the whole used games debacle with the Xbox One. With them being it's always going to be online, and then if you want to play games offline, we have that. It's called the Xbox 360 or whatever. Obviously, they fired that guy, but whatever damage was done during that E3 presentation was done, and it's still taking its effects today because PlayStation got such a big lead during that, I guess, one day where it was all right, we're going to go second, and then we're just going to announce that used games are going to stay, and then we're just going to win out. And that's pretty much what happened. And obviously, I think towards the end of the PlayStation 3 as well, that they were able to get all of these really good high-end exclusives like The Last of Us. That pretty much has defined their console generations up until now even. We got the fucking Last of Us Part 1 remaster, and they're still utilizing that IP to this day. So I feel ever since that moment, that day at E3, Xbox has just been behind, and they've been trying to play catch-up ever since. And will they ever? It will happen eventually. I think that will inevitably come, but when will it happen? Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, I guess we'll see. Microsoft had such a big lead during the 360 era. They were the biggest one. Well, I mean the Wii was, but you know what I mean. But between the 360 and PS3. Yeah. And then they basically just lost it all, and they've never been able to catch back up, really. I hear way more people wanting a PS5 or having a PS5 than anyone with an Xbox Series X. I don't really hear anyone with one. I asked anyone at work or school, I was I want a PS5. I don't want a fucking Xbox. So yeah, I don't know. I feel they really have to change something up, which it looks like they're trying to do with the next gen for Xbox. But it ain't looking so good because all they want to do is buy people. So yeah.
But on the contrary, I will say, if you are trying to get into gaming, just in general, on a quote unquote budget, you could get the Series S, you could get Game Pass, and then just go from there. And hopefully you'll find something in there that you'll enjoy with gaming. And then otherwise, well, now you have a Series S. So
yeah, I mostly just want Xbox Series X to play Sonic Unleashed in 60 frames or something. That's literally the only reason why I would want one, and just the backwards compatibility in general. But it's not really a great time to be just an Xbox owner. So
yeah. But I guess we'll move on from there, from those fucking big ass leaks. Now we're gonna get into the general gaming news. So first up, Unity. They were under fire a lot last episode, but now they have reverted their runtime fee policy. So pretty much, if you make under $1 million within 12 months of revenue, you will not be subjected to the fee. So yeah, and that should be most of the game devs. No offense to them. They're probably not making $1 million within 12 months. Probably over time they will make $1 million, but not within those first 12 months or whatever. So, but they did outright say I'm sorry within the apology. So you know what? I'll give them claps for that, because most company apologies don't even have a sorry in there at all. So. Yeah, definitely a really interesting roller coaster that they went on in terms of just announcing these new fees, and then now they're reverting it back, and they're sort of doing it a little bit differently. So yeah,
it's still shitty. They had to do all this and not, consult anyone before doing it. I always feel like that's the worst when companies do that. Like, I don't know why they just like tell people first, be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And then but maybe we won't do it yet, we want to see the general reaction, instead of just being like, no, we're gonna do this and y'all gonna just be fine with it. So I know a lot of indie devs are just not gonna use Unity anymore. Like, why bother with it if this could happen again? You don't want to risk any future projects getting screwed over by a bunch of fees and stuff. So I feel like the trust a lot of people have with Unity is basically gone, and just not going to use it anymore, which kind of sucks because, I know a lot, indie devs have a lot of years in Unity experience, and that's basically going to be for nothing. Because they would have to switch engines and stuff. So, it really sucks that Unity decides to do any of this. And, I think all of this is not even going to help save them too much. I think a lot of people are just going to move away from Unity, and it's going to be just a dead engine in a few years or something, which is crazy because so many people use Unity. And, with this news and stuff, and even them backing out of a lot of it, I just don't see them gaining any public support in the future,
Yeah, I mean, only time will tell if people will still keep using Unity. It is such a big engine that is utilized universally within the games industry. So hopefully they are able to keep their word, and they are a little more wary in terms of what they change within their policy. So, yeah, it's been a crazy week for them, I will say.
It's been a crazy week. All right, so now we got some Sonic stuff here. So Sonic Superstars released their animated trailer. I think we basically gotten one since Mania. I think we had one for Mania, for Frontiers, and now this one. Unless I'm missing one, but yeah, I'm a big fan of these animated things because they look fucking great. And this one I guess is sort of a prologue to what happens in Superstars. So we see the gang there fighting Fang in the beginning. Then it was just a dream. Amy gets all fucking demonic for a second. I don't know what that's about, but yeah, it looks like they find some artifact or whatever, and that looks like it's gonna sort of kick off Superstars story. It looks great. Like I said before, I think this trailer looks great. I know some people are saying it's kind of weird, they don't talk, but I feel like that's, it's just a stylistic choice. They're not gonna, I guess the classic era, no one could talk. That's just kind of how it is. It's just pantomime and stuff, which is fine. But I think it looks really good. And hopefully Superstars is good as well. We still don't know. From what I've been hearing, it looks like it's going to be a good time. So I guess we'll see. But I think this trailer was really good. Or animated short.
Yeah, Sonic Superstars Trio of Trouble. Definitely a good name for this animation because, we do follow pretty much the main three bad guys throughout the entire thing. We are introduced to Trip, which I believe is a lizard of some kind.
Yeah, he's like a lizard, yeah.
Yeah, and then we also finally, get a glimpse at Fang, the sniper or whatever, they're calling him nowadays. His grand return to the sort of Sonic franchise, which is awesome. I still remember seeing, the cameo of his wanted poster within Sonic Generations, and that was just so cool to see. So now that he's actually a villain within the next mainline Sonic game, if you will, that's gonna be a lot of fun. And obviously the animation was co-led by a lot of people within the Sonic community, such as Tyson Hess, I believe, co-directed, and it was directed by Evan Stanley. So great names to have within a Sonic project, just because they're awesome. And it was written by Ian Flynn. I don't know what kind of writing he did. I guess just directing the characters within a certain way, sort of having their animations and their expressions sort of shine within that light. But yeah, awesome to see them continue this sort of string of just animated stuff within the mainline Sonic games. But yeah, then we got just dropped Sonic Frontiers, the Final Horizon update trailer. This is our first gameplay glimpse at it right before it comes out later tonight. So yeah, I mean, like I said last time, this is the first time within over a decade that, Tails, Amy, and Knuckles are playable within a 3D Sonic game. And you know what? The gameplay that they showed off looked pretty faithful to what was previously done before, but also adding some new stuff in there. I see that Amy has like the tarot cards, which I think is a new thing for her character. So you know what, I'm all in for it. I don't really care what they're sort of changing or adding to her, as long as the gameplay's fun and responsive, and just seeing how these characters interact with each other and just how they play within the environments and whatnot. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think that also on top of that, just like the story is kind of interesting. It is a little confusing, I will admit, because it is kind of like them rewriting the original ending with this new update. So yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool to see like these characters playable after like so fucking long. Like, yeah, I think we said it was like since like '06, like we haven't been able to play as like basically any Sonic character besides Sonic for like a very long time. So it is cool to actually be able to play as Amy, Tails, and Knuckles again, and they look great. I don't really get what's up with Amy's like tarot card shit. Like, I don't know if that's like a reference to something, but that's just a thing she does now. So that's cool, I guess. Tails looks great. Like he summons the mech from Sonic Adventure 2, which is really awesome to see. He has a bunch of gadgets, like he throws wrenches and shit. Knuckles obviously punches stuff. He has his glide. So yeah, they look really good. Like they look like basically like faithfully done from like their other games, and hopefully they control well, because I don't know how long we're gonna be using them for. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know how big the DLC is going to be in general. Like, I don't know if they're going to give you the whole place to explore again, just as these characters, or what's the deal there. But I'm very excited to figure out like how all this will play out. And like you said, the story, like I don't know what's going on with the story. Like I don't know like why we're doing everything over again, but like they're helping out now. But I guess we'll find out as well. Obviously, Sonic goes Super Saiyan 2 still, so that's cool. But yeah, honestly, it looks really good. Like I hope it's good, and I hope all the characters play like fine. Because I do want Sega to like actually open up the door to having more playable characters again. Maybe don't overdo it like in some of the other games or whatever, or don't. But yeah, we'll see how this plays out. But I am really excited to see this.
Yeah, maybe it'll open the door for Sonic Adventure 3 officially. Maybe, who the hell knows? But yeah, I'm very much excited to play this free update later tonight. Sonic Frontiers: The Final Horizons. I believe it's supposed to come out at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So by the time most of you guys listen to this, it will be out. So
yes. All right, so we also got really big news here. There's a lot of big industry news. Jim Ryan, the CEO of president of Sony, he will be stepping down. That's pretty crazy to consider, because last week he was making statements like oh, the third person narrative formula we've been doing is going to be the future forever. So I felt like it felt like a weird timing that he's just going, he's stepping down, but he is. So he is stepping down. A lot of people hated Jim Ryan. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of Jim Ryan either. He always like felt like just the CEO type. Like he didn't give a shit about gaming at all. Like he was just more about just the numbers, and I never really cared for him at all. So hopefully him stepping down does kind of allow Sony to I guess get kind of weird with it again. I personally, I really do like the PS4 era of like PlayStation, right? Like I really did. I love God of War. I love Ghost of Tsushima. I loved all the other shit that came out during that generation. Horizon. Like I think all those games are Spider-Man. Like all those games I think are great. Like I think they're really good. But I do think like some of the variety has been kind of waned a bit, because we really just have Ratchet as like a platforming mascot. During the PS3 days we had like first person shooters with Resistance. We had like Little Big Planet. We had obviously Ratchet and Clank as well. We had Slide for a game. Like we had a lot more variety. Obviously like things like Gravity Rush and shit. So yeah, I think the PS2 gen had like a lot more variety in terms of gameplay stuff, and hopefully with the new CEO, hopefully we could get that. I mean, I doubt it, but I know some people are asking like, oh, we want Ape Escape back, or we want Jack and Sly back, but the things with those is like they have to give the IPs away to like other devs. Sony doesn't have to give the IP, but they have to find devs that want to do it, because Sucker Punch already said they're not going to do another Sly. Like they already said that. Naughty Dog Naughty Dog has already said that they're not going to do another Jack and Daxter. Like they're basically are over that series. Like, I mean, they tried to reboot it and it became Last of Us. So like, it's like that the dream of another Jack and Daxter is also dead unless someone else wants to do it. And Japan Studios is fucking dead. So like Ape Escape and stuff, like they would need new devs as well. So I think that's kind of a crapshoot still for people hoping for that. But I do hope it does allow Sony to get a little more weird with their IPs and stuff, because even though I think they've been doing great with the stuff they have right now, I think some more variation in their stuff would be nice as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, give where credit's due. Jim Ryan led Sony through the PlayStation 5 era that we know right now. And, it sold millions and millions of units, whether it was because of his leadership or not, who knows? But, he was there, and he's been with Sony for about 30 years. And, he pretty much seen the ins and outs. And maybe he was more of like the CEO type just because he didn't want, to make other games that weren't open world story driven narratives or whatever. And you know what, that sucks. It definitely sucks that for the longest time PlayStation has really only made those games, but those games were good. I mean, like, The Last of Us, Horizon, Spider-Man, all of those games, Ghost of Tsushima, they're all really good, phenomenal games within their own right, maybe within similar genres, but in and of themselves, they are good games that play distinctively from one another, from different developers and whatnot. And, I hope that with this, Jim Ryan stepping down, that, like you said, we are able to get, maybe some other IPs from, PlayStation Vault that people are willing to work on. Obviously, since our games that worked on Sly 4, they are now owned by Facebook or something like that, Meta. So, you know what? That's gone. So that's never going
Right.
to happen. But, I'm sure that there's maybe some devs out there that are willing to work on some other PlayStation IPs. I mean, Sony bought some other studios a while back, I think Blue Point and some other stuff like that. So maybe they'll be able to work on some other stuff. Who knows? But yeah, I think that, whatever direction PlayStation go in, I hope that it is within the weird direction that, they're able to dig deep and give a variety of games to its players and not just like the open world story driven stuff. Despite it being good, I think that a lot of people out there are asking for something new because, that can only work for so long. And I think people are starting to catch on that they're kind of getting sick and tired of it, which, I kind of agree with to a certain extent. But, if the games are good, the games are good. What can I say? I may not have enjoyed The Last of Us Part 2 to its fullest extent, but I can recognize that is still a good and well-polished game with a sort of muddled story, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, hopefully we get some, like, stuff that is, like, more out of the box again because, I do enjoy that. Even though I think the PS4 generation was a bit stronger than PS3 in terms of like just games being like really, really good. Mm-hmm. I still think the PS3 had like a lot more variety, as I said. So yeah, hopefully this, a new Sony direction would be nice. But again, I won't hold my breath either. So.
Yeah, I'm sure that whatever new CEO comes in, it's going to be a few years until we actually realize that if they're actually doing anything differently or if they're just, sitting there and just letting everything happen, So
mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So next bit of news we got here is that Alan Wake 2 will have performance modes for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. So I believe this means that they're going to try to get the game to run at 60 frames with, I guess, like lesser graphical quality. They're still working on it, admittedly, but this is a tweet from one of the communications director at Remedy. Quote, "I'm glad to say that Alan Wake 2 will have a performance mode on PS5 and Xbox Series X. The game has been built from the beginning as a 30 FPS experience, focusing on visuals and ambience, but somehow we managed to include a solid performance mode. We'll talk details later," end quote. So yeah, I mean, it looks like that they are going to give players a 60 FPS mode for consoles, which is great, fantastic, awesome. I mean, I'm still playing through Alan Wake 1, which I should finish hopefully by next podcast episode, and have my full review out on that on the channel as well. But yeah, it just seems like that they are, giving players the 60 FPS experience that they deserve on this generation of consoles, in my opinion, and I'm glad that they have been able to fix that.
Yeah, it's nice to see that because, even though this year has been great for gaming, like we've been having a lot more games come out at 30 FPS, and it's kind of annoying. Final Fantasy 16 works the best at 30 frames. Starfield was locked at 30. Star Wars Survivor was like basically a 30 FPS game because the performance mode was so bad. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I felt like we were kind of going backwards where I really felt this generation we should have liked maybe worry less about graphical performance and just worry more about just like performance. You know what I mean? Is what I'm saying. Yeah. So like I wanted games to look good and perform well. I would sacrifice some of the lighting or ray tracing shit instead. Because I really don't give a shit about ray tracing. Like if you're gonna take it out of all games and just make it an option, like I really don't care. Like I'd rather just have like good frames. But anyway, I'm happy Remedy is like going for that performance target. That is really nice. Because I feel like a lot of the other studios right now are like not focused on that. It's like, oh no, we're gonna stick to 30 frames again. I'm like, why? I thought we were over the 30 frames.
Yeah, I think that 30 frames, it's still obviously playable, but I think that if we're playing it on this current generation of consoles, it should at least be 60. That may just be, me being entitled or whatever, but I think that that is something that we should aim for and strive for within the gaming industry today, just because, we've been on 30 frames for a while, and obviously PC has been, having games run at that frame rate for years now. And I think that consoles deserve that with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. So,
yes. So, again, even more, yeah, a lot of big industry news. So yeah, writer strike has ended, and they have a lot. They have a new agreement. A lot more terms. Obviously, like their game pay raises and all that stuff. But there's a lot of interesting stuff with AI because AI has been a really prevalent thing over the last year or so. Mm-hmm. So like, and it's been really threatening a lot of people's jobs, and like the quality of AI is always like not great and stuff. So that's some guidelines here. So AI content can be used to undermine a writer's credit, which is great. Because we've been seeing that a lot as well. Writers can use AI if the company consents, but you can't be required to actually use it or anything, which is also good. I think AI has a place to sort of like help with stuff, like if it's like grammar or something. But I feel like just writing a whole ass script should never be a thing it's used for, because it's like, you really lack that human connection and shit, because it's just like auto-generated bullshit.
Yeah.
Also, you have to disclose if disclosure is required if any material given to the writer is AI generated, which again makes sense because I've seen a lot of things where people see something and they don't know it's AI generated, and then it turns out to be AI generated, which is always pretty shit.
Yeah.
And also you can't use AI, like the writer has to give consent if the AI is going to be trained on its writing as well, which is also something that should have been done like way beforehand, because it's basically just plagiarism at that point. So yeah, you should definitely have consent if AI training algorithm is going to be used on your writing, because then you wouldn't fucking know. And obviously residuals, streaming bonuses, data transparency, like all that stuff is also applying to this new agreement. And I think this is great. Obviously, more pay, more residuals, AI being more crunched down or regulated for writing and stuff. I think that's all very important stuff to have, because AI has been such a newer thing, and even though I think it could be used for some things, I think using it for creative purposes feels pretty wrong to me. So yeah, I'm happy that they're really deciding to go down on that.
Yeah, I mean, my stance with AI is that it's fine to be used as a tool, but I think using it to make things like in its entirety is kind of wrong, kind of sketchy. I think that a lot of artists on Twitter get called out instantly if people are like, that shit's AI generated. Mm-hmm. And that's when you see the fingers have like 10 thumbs or some shit like that. It's very obvious when art is AI generated, and sometimes people are able to spot it, sometimes people aren't. And I'll be honest, sometimes I get tricked by that shit too, because it's like this shit is getting way too advanced and way too good every single day. And I think that it's the same thing with writing. I think that when you write stuff and when you create things for anything, having AI as a tool to help you is fine, but I think using it within your writing and just getting the AI stuff that it generated and just pasting it into your writing is just not cool. And it never flows well either. It just doesn't seem like a human wrote it. So I think that having these regulations and having these clear rules for studios to really follow, I think that is a good thing that will protect writers from AI, and also just make sure that, hey, if there's something AI generated, then I will know, hopefully, because that is something that is going to be very, very tricky to follow as we move further into the years within the industry or whatever. So yeah, residual, streaming bonuses, all that stuff is also good as well, because now they could make a living. That is also good. But yeah, I mean, the actors are supposed to negotiate on Monday, so hopefully that will also come to an end. And a video game strike has been authorized, so hopefully that will also be resolved soon as well. But yeah, this is obviously the first step of many to get Hollywood back on track into releasing new shows, new movies, etc., because a lot of things have been delayed, especially within cinemas, because I believe Challengers was supposed to come out already, which is the Zendaya movie about tennis or whatever. And then I think Dune 2 was also delayed to next year, which was like a big deal for a lot of people. Yeah. I know one of my coworkers was very, very sad about that one. But yeah, hopefully things will start to get back on track, and these people are getting paid what they're supposed to get paid. That's all. So
yeah, I mean, I'm really happy that they're gonna go forward for the video game stuff as well, because again, this is not for developers or anything, but still for like voice actors and stuff. That's really important, and everyone deserves to get paid more than they should. I've seen a lot of anime dub voice actors that voice for video games get paid like nothing. So it would be good for them to actually get paid what they deserve, because sometimes they do a really good job and they deserve to get paid what they should be getting paid. So hopefully that goes through as well, and we also see a video game voice actor strike as well, because everyone deserves to get better pay. And no one deserves any of this to happen, especially if like AI is going to be such a prevalent thing. Like, we need to really make more regulations on that. So yeah.
Yeah, it is new technology that's coming in that is taking over the creative space, and there should be rules and regulations against that. So obviously the writers have, lined it out thoroughly, and I'm glad that they were able to come to an agreement with the studios. All right, so next bit of news we got here is the Aquaman trailer that unfortunately came out a little later when we recorded the episode, so now we are talking about it. Now, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So this is the first full-length trailer. The movie is supposed to come out on December 20th of this year, and this is literally the first trailer we got, so a little crazy. But hey, you know what? As a Aquaman fan that saw the first movie in theaters, I really enjoyed it. I really liked what they did with that character. Jason Momoa is great in it, and I think that this movie looks like it's just going to follow up with that. Black Manta seems like a really intimidating fucking villain. He's going to literally murder Aquaman, murder his family, do everything. I'm like, yep, that's a super villain, all right. He's going to do a whole lot of bad shit. But there have been some things within the industry about people seeing it early and they walked out of it for whatever reason because they thought it was dog shit or whatever, which I hope isn't entirely true. I do want to see this movie and I hope it does well, even though that it may not be part of the James Gunn DCU. I think that this is, one of the last remaining things within, I guess, the Snyderverse, if you will, that was good. So,
yeah, wasn't Amber Heard in this or something?
Yeah, she still is.
She still is? That's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know anything about... I didn't watch the first Aquaman because I didn't really care too much. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, this looks good. I mean, it looks about what I would expect it to look like. I mean, visually it looks nice. A lot of cool underwater shots. There was one scene where someone's hand got cut off and that the blood looks really bad. But yeah, besides that, it looks fine. Again, I'm pretty... I'm more interested to see what James Gunn is going to be doing with the DCU rather than anything. Actually, I'm interested to see Blue Beetle at some point because that one did look pretty fun. And it's like a newer thing. I feel like this one still has the baggage of the pre DCU stuff that I just feel like I can't really get that invested into it just because I don't care as much. But again, I know the first one did pretty well. It was all right and it made a shit ton of money. So I'm sure this one will probably do pretty well as well. So I guess we'll see when it comes out.
Yeah, Jason Momoa is great in the role, so I just can't wait to see more of him in the movie.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we also got 3 confirming actors returning for James Gunn DCU. Again, it's really weird that he said we're gonna get new people and then more people come back. It's really weird, but whatever. So John Cena is gonna keep being Peacemaker. Viola Davis is gonna be Amanda Waller still, which is good because she is a really good Amanda Waller. And Zolo I cannot say the last name.
It's okay.
He's gonna be Blue Beetle still, so that's nice. I heard he was pretty good in that role. Again, I haven't watched it yet, but I am pretty interested in watching it eventually. So that's good. I mean, it would be kind of weird to recast him as Blue Beetle because he's part of the new DCU anyway. But yeah, again, it is this weird thing where some people were getting replaced and some aren't with James Gunn stuff. I mean, it makes sense. John Cena's still Peace Walker because Peacemaker. Sorry, Peacemaker because he made the fucking show, so it makes sense. But I guess we'll see with any future people are coming back. I know Gal Gadot isn't at this point because she's like, I'm coming back. And then he's like, no, you're not. So I don't know what's going on with that. But, I don't know. Jason Momoa is going to be staying as Aquaman or what. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's kind of messier than I thought it was going to be. So.
Yeah, there's definitely still a lot in the air in terms of James Gunn's DCU, in terms of who's coming back and who's not. He did not indicate whether or not this was the only actors coming back, so maybe more will come back. Who knows? Obviously, the actors' strike is still going on, so I'm sure when that resolves itself, we will learn more about what James Gunn is planning for the DCU, and conversations could continue happening. But yeah, I think that these three actors are great in their roles, and I think that it's going to be really hard to recast them. I mean, I think that Zolo was obviously pretty much confirmed to be returning anyways, but John Cena as Peacemaker, I mean, he makes that role. Like, he's the reason why Peacemaker is a popular character today, and Viola Davis as Amanda Waller is, still perfect. So yeah, just can't wait to hear more about James Gunn's DCU, just because, it's new, it's exciting. We don't really know much else about it other than the upcoming project. So
yeah, pretty excited to see where that goes.
All right. Next thing we got here is the Netflix, thing that they showed. They had a lot of animated projects that they showed off, and the first one is Devil May Cry. This is a anime adaptation of obviously the original games, I guess. So yeah, I mean, personally, I've never finished the Devil May Cry series. I played DMC5 because that was just a fun fucking hack and slash game, but I didn't really pay attention to the story, if I'm being completely honest. So I wonder how balls to the wall they're gonna go with this Netflix series, if it's gonna have a cohesive story at all.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the DMC story is it's pretty straightforward, and like it's more like about family and shit, which is nice. Things like Bayonetta is like fucking makes literally zero sense to me. Like, I don't know what's going on in that story half of the time, but I feel like DMC like would make a pretty nice, like, simple, like, story and stuff. And I don't know where this is taking place. Dante looks young, so I guess it's like the earlier games. But yeah, it looks like it has like the same energy that people come to know and love from DMC. I mean, I love the series. I played all of them besides the reboot. I did not play the reboot, but I played, not because I don't want to, just because I just didn't. I will at some point. But either way, like DMC5 was amazing, but I know we're not going to be getting the DMC6 for a while because the guy who directed that game is doing Dragon's Dogma 2, so we probably won't see a DMC6 for a while. So it's nice to hold fans over for a little bit and get some more DMC content. I think one of the writers or someone prevalent in the DMC series is working on this as well. So like, it looks like it's in good hands and looks like it's gonna be a pretty faithful either retelling or new thing for DMC. I don't know what it's gonna be, but it looks pretty cool. So I'm excited for that. So next we have like everything is like an anime apparently now. So we're getting Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft. This is also an animated series coming to Netflix. Again, we don't really know much besides like the art style looks nice. We see Lara Croft doing some stuff. She shoots an arrow at us and then it ends. So it looks pretty good as well. Again, we don't really have any concrete anything about it yet, but it looks good. I know, like, I feel like Tomb Raider really kind of fell in relevancy because like Uncharted exists, which is kind of sad to say. I think Nathan Drake kind of took her spot, which is unfortunate. But she's been coming back. I know people like the reboot games, but I feel like they never were as popular as like Uncharted or the older Tomb Raider games in general. But it seems like they really want to revive the series again because we have the that remaster collection coming out next year, I think, or this year, I forget. But anyway, we got that remaster trilogy coming out. Now we have the anime coming out. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see like a new AAA game with Lara Croft in it as well. At least that's just like kind of in my head right now. But we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I never played a reboot. I never played any Tomb Raider game, but it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I played the first reboot game years ago. I own the other two on my PS4, but I just never got around to playing them. But yeah, I mean, once those games came out, people were once again comparing them to Uncharted just because Uncharted was the newest action adventure game. Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I'm sure that they are trying to cook something up with this series, maybe another game like you said. And yeah, I mean, I think that this anime can have the potential to be good. I mean, who knows what will happen with it, whether it ends up being good or not, I don't know. To those Tomb Raider fans out there, you got something to look forward to on top of the new remastered trilogy. But yeah, those games weren't necessarily bad. I think they were just like you said, overshadowed by Uncharted. And I think that when those games came out, a lot of people were kind of just sick and tired of Uncharted and sort of just like action adventure games in general. So yeah, I mean, people only came back to them when Uncharted 4 came out. And pretty much after that, no one's really made a game like that or really touched one since. Maybe Bethesda will recreate that magic with the Indiana Jones game. Who the hell knows? But yeah, this is just, another video game adaptation anime. Then we got the first clip of Scott Pilgrim First Strike, I believe is what or Scott Pilgrim Takeoff, I mean. So this is pretty much the Scott Pilgrim anime. I mean, it looks good. It looks very, very good. You know, seeing or hearing the voice cast once again is awesome. You know, some of them do sound slightly differently because it's been a while, guys. It's been a long time. Been a long time since the movie came out. Some people are kind of upset with the pacing of it. Like, it's not as fast as the movie or whatever, which I'm just like, okay, yeah, it's a different adaptation. And if you've read the comic books, you know that you wouldn't read as fast as the movie was going at before anyway. So yeah, I think people are going to quickly learn that Scott Pilgrim isn't a action series, but more of a slice of life thing with action elements in it. So yeah.
Yeah, like the actual graphic novel is a lot slower paced than like what I guess people are more used to. Like, you know, like most exposure from Scott Pilgrim is the movie and like the game and stuff, and those are like really high frantic, high octane energy and stuff. Obviously with the movie that fit a bunch of shit in one movie, so that also probably why it's like so like fast paced as well. But you know, the graphic novels go into a lot more stuff, and I'm hoping the anime is like also goes into like a lot of the stuff like the movie and stuff didn't, like with Envy. Like they basically didn't touch any of that stuff in the movie, so it'll be cool to see that because that's like kind of a big arc that it just didn't go through. But you know, I can't. But like the movie is great, but you know, there's only so much you could do. So yeah, I honestly don't mind the slower pace, and like animation wise, it looks great. Like I think they captured the art style from the graphic novel so goddamn well. Like I love it. I just love looking at it. It looks really good. So I think the slower pace is fine, as long as like the fights and stuff like are like cool. Like I guess no one would really care at that point. And they've been hyping up the fights. I've been reading like, oh, this shit, if this was live action, this costs as much as Avatar. I'm like, all right, let's calm down a bit. But I believe you. Like the shit probably will look really cool. So as long as the fights are like high octane and like really fun to watch, I'm sure people wouldn't mind like the slower scenes being, you know, more like a slower pace or whatever. Either way, I'm very excited for it. It still looks so good. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, I am also equally hyped. I think that them changing Ramona's job to a Netflix sort of DVD
Netflix,
delivery,
yeah,
that was kind of fitting. I mean, you know, it is on Netflix, so that would be a lot easier than, I guess, them advertising Amazon for some reason or whatever. So, you know, it's just, I guess, like a little nod to the service that it is on, but also just like how it was back in the day. So, you know, they're obviously changing things around and, you know, adapting it within a certain way, which is completely fine. And I cannot wait to see how this, you know, series actually plays out. And I hope that people get over the slower pacing of it because they need to realize that, hey, you know what? The movie was really, really fast paced compared to the graphic novel, which it just showed me that online a lot of people have not read the original comic, which if you haven't, please do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very good. I probably would any of you read it.
Yeah, same.
And last thing we have here from like this giant Netflix like dump of stuff is the Sonic Prime season 3 trailer. Obviously this is like spoilers if you haven't watched the last 2 seasons, but it's dealing with Nines. You know, Nines is gonna be like I said spoilers, so he's gonna be the major antagonist for this season. So that's cool. You know, I think 9 was like probably the best like part of Sonic Prime, and I'm glad like he's gonna get the whole season to himself. Sonic and Shadow are finally working together like fully, so hopefully we can see a lot more Shadow because I feel like, you know, I was really excited to see him in season 2, but I felt like he wasn't in there enough. So I'm happy. It looks like he's gonna be more of a major part in this season. And it looks like we got more Chaos, not Sonic. So yeah, like Chaos, Tails, and Knuckles and shit, as in like the not metal versions. And it looks good. You know, I mean, I enjoy Sonic Prime. I know some people want it to be more than it is, but for me, it feels pretty like what I would expect from this. Maybe a little too drawn out in some aspects, but I still think it's pretty solid. And I'm happy to see how it concludes. Because like I said, I think Nines is like the most like, or 9, I forget what his name is. Nines and Nines, I forget. Either way, he was the most like compelling character, so I'm happy he's getting like a major spotlight now. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, say what you will about Sonic Prime, whether it's a baby Goo Goo Gaga show or whatever the fuck you want to say it is.
I do love the Twitter things. There's like Mickey Mouse Club. That is funny.
I mean, yeah, they're not wrong that this show is catered to kids, so you know they're only able to do so much with the story. But yeah, I mean, I think that the show is still like a lot of fun. You know, it's just Sonic doing stupid ass shit, and you know he's dumb. He's he's supposed to be relatable to the audience, and he's making mistakes along the way. And I think that having Nine be the overall main antagonist in the end is awesome. I think that this season will be a lot of fun. Like you said, I hope we get to see Shadow more than just the first half of the season. I hope that he sticks around for most of it, if not all, because I think that Shadow as a character has been absent within mainstream Sonic stuff. I mean, he's pretty prevalent within the comics within certain arcs, but still overall he's pretty much like a side character, and I think people really do like Shadow, and having him be the second main character is gonna be great. I cannot wait to see another trailer for this show, because it does seem like it's going a much darker tone, because Nine doesn't give a fuck about the old world. He's like, I'm creating a new one because I hate the old stuff. So fair enough.
Yeah, fair.
All right, so now we're going to get into the last part of the show. We're going to talk about Ahsoka episode 6 and 7. Let me just look up real quick what other episodes are coming out. My girlfriend said there's only one more. Can you confirm that, Damian, or are you not sure either?
I have no idea.
Okay, yeah, there's only one more episode left after this. So you know what? After what episode 7 left off on, I can see where they're going with it. It's going to lead up to the big climactic fight with Thrawn or whatever. But let's stop there and go back to episode 6, because, obviously we get the introduction of Thrawn as a character, which I learned that he is the same actor in live action and within the animated show. So they were just like, all right, we can't find anyone else that could voice this guy the same way. So just put on some blue makeup on and just get on the fucking set. So you know what? To see him in that outfit and just seeing how threatening he is and how smart he is with his, tactician stuff is pretty cool. And then obviously with the whole big reveal with Ezra, because episode 6, for pretty much the half of it, it was just like Sabine trying to find Ezra, which, whether you like Sabine or not, might have dragged out. It might have been the worst part of that episode for you, but I thought it was okay. But when she finally reunites with Ezra, he looks like Jesus or whatever.
Yeah, he does. Yes, I was glad you said that, because I was gonna say that he does look like Jesus. Yeah,
yeah, that was a lot of imagery that Dave Filoni was throwing in there or something like that. But I was just like, is he like supposed to be the savior or some shit? I don't know. Obviously, I didn't watch Rebels, and I think we do get to see Ezra's personality shine within episode 7, where he's just like, no, I'm not gonna use the lightsaber. I'm gonna just use the Force and not really care that much. And I think that's just who Ezra is as a character. I hope that's who he is as a character, not just like some bullshit that they threw at us for the viewers. But Damian, what do you think of these episodes?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I mean, like, it is funny that he's I'm gonna use the Force, and then he like grabs someone's gun and starts blasting anyway. So that's very funny. I mean, I think it's more just like he gave the lightsaber to Sabine at the end of Rebels, so he's like, it's yours. Like, it's not really mine anymore, so I'll just use the Force instead. So I guess that makes sense. I like the crab people, the hermit crab people.
Yeah,
you always have to have the cute little alien race with them. But yeah, I think it was mostly just them, Sabine kind of dicking around for like half the episode, and then she found Ezra, and then like it, kind of goes from there. I forget, because I watched them both back to back, so I'm forgetting what. Ahsoka shows up in the next episode, right? Like with the whales. That was the next episode. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, I think So episode 6 was just her finding Ezra and then them connecting back to each other, I think, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I think that the first part was a little bit of setup with Ahsoka, and then it just pretty much went into the Sabine stuff or whatever, with her, being captive for a bit, and then her being let go, and then her trying to find Ezra, and then obviously the bounty hunters with Balin and Ren, I believe.
Yeah, I forgot what her name is. I always forget her name.
Yeah, them trying to follow her as they move along, so...
But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, like, again, I can understand when some people say the pacing and stuff maybe was a little too slow, or maybe they spent too much time dicking around with like the crab people and stuff or whatever. Those are like the funny moment with the wolf dog thing. It was a little silly, but it was fine. Like, I didn't mind it. I mean,
that's Star Wars. That's just Star Wars.
What I'm saying. It's always when people bring this stuff with Star Wars and stuff, because I'm like, Star Wars is always like kind of silly and stuff. Like, people always want Star Wars to be like way more like mature than it is, but it still is like a it still got silly moments. It wouldn't be Star Wars without the little silly moments either. So
yeah.
But yeah, it was nice to see the two characters reunite, even though I don't know too much about them. But again, the only thing going in my mind is like, this guy looks like Jesus. Like, I'm really glad you brought that up, because I was gonna bring it up.
And also the blue contacts are definitely sticking out at me.
yeah, they are. Yeah, I guess they had to, they had to do something to make it like accurate to the show. But Yeah, overall, I thought the episode was fine. I thought the next episode was, a lot better because there's like more stuff going on.
Yeah.
With Ahsoka. I guess I should, when episode 7 starts, we do get the cameo with C-3PO. He's just like, hey,
Yes.
I'm here. So that was cool. I mean, I like they use C-3PO instead of just Leia because, it's still really weird whenever there's just like, use Carrie Fisher's likeness and stuff, even though she's dead, and it's kind of weird. So I'm happy to just brought C-3PO to like bring the news and like kind of save the other, I forgot her name, the commander lady's ass there. So I forgot what her name was. Yeah.
I also forget. God damn it. But yeah, just overall episode 7, I think that the start of it really does bring to light that, hey, like this is why we brought it into live action. So you can see these other characters from The Mandalorian, Andor, etc., see them within this show in particular. So, when I could see it makes sense now. And then, we get that little cameo with C-3PO and pretty much just saving her from pretty much being convicted of, I don't know if it's treason or whatever, but, just...
No, I think it's just disorderly like
conduct or whatever.
Yeah.
So just saving her ass in the process or whatever, and her being like how threatening is Thrawn, by the way? And it's like well, we should probably prepare. And I was like, that's probably a good call to have. And then we pretty much get into the meat of this episode with Ahsoka pretty much trying to save Sabine and find Ezra as well. And still Shin and Baylan, that is her name, Shin, are on pursuit with the other two. And we get like that big fight with them and everything like that. That one scene with Ahsoka training with Anakin, I was like, all right, they're squeezing out the last bit of Hayden Christensen they got here. I was like, all right, you know what? I'll take it. You know what? I'm not going to complain too much because, it did look a lot better than, I guess, like that first shot within episode 4 at the end of that episode.
Yeah.
So, just seeing his like hologram, I guess, like, with that recording or whatever, she was like, I got 20 of these and this is the last one. I was like, all right, well, I guess I just let the viewer know that there's no more of these. You're not going to see him anymore, hopefully. I mean, if he shows up at the finale, he shows up at the finale.
I feel like it wouldn't make sense. I mean, in any future show, like, obviously they could show him again in this show if they want for the finale. But I feel like, Anakin and Ahsoka kind of had their time together in this one, and it wouldn't make sense for him to keep coming back as like a Force ghost or whatever the fuck later. So like I feel like this is probably the best time to be like, get it all out, like get all the things you want out of Anakin's character, because I feel like that's about all you can really squeeze out of him at this point. We did Obi-Wan, we did Ahsoka, like we can't really do much else anymore, so I think that's fine. But saying that, the fight scenes were really good this episode. Like I think it was all really fun to watch. Ahsoka like doing cool ass shit. I wish we got a little more of that because it's really cool whenever she does shit. But that's fine. I'm okay with the show being more like I guess of a character thing, being like it's more about Sabine and Ezra like reuniting, and then Ahsoka sort of like, I guess, being okay with like Anakin and like finding home purpose and shit. I think that's fine. But I do like the lightsaber fights too, so that's fine.
Yeah, I think that her outsmarting Baylan within that fight was dope. And I think that Baylan as a character, rest in peace to that actor. It sucks that he's no longer with us. And, he pretty much sells this character. Like, he's the reason why Baylan is such a compelling force within this show. And I hope that by the end of this series that they're able to close his arc within a satisfying way. Maybe not kill him off, but, just like have him go off in the galaxy, have his own little adventures that we may never even learn about ever again. So, either way, I'm very, very much happy with how his character has been portrayed out, and sort of him being like, all right, Shin, go kill them. I gotta do something on my own. And I was like, what is he gonna do? And I was like, oh, he's gonna stop Ahsoka. I forgot about that. So yeah, just a lot of fun happening throughout the episode. And Ahsoka for a second be like, Shin, I can help you. And then she was like, I'm gone.
Yeah, I'm out of here. I should probably go with them. I mean, I hope she does. It'd be kind of like, I don't know, I feel like they've been doing a lot with her, like sort of like being like, oh, maybe I should join like this side of the Force or whatever the fuck. I think it would be nice to have her like with that group, but I don't know, maybe she might just die instead. I mean, that'd be kind of a waste of a character, but I guess we'll see. I'm also wondering if they're gonna fully stop Thrawn or whatever, because I don't know if he wants to like connect this with any other of his Star Wars stuff and like make like a big ass thing where it's like Mando helps, and like I don't know what's gonna happen, but I feel like it might not end as cleanly as it is, because I don't know if he's gonna set more stuff up, but I guess we'll see. I don't know, maybe a Thrawn gets dealt with or the Night Sisters do something. I don't fucking know, but I guess we'll see in the finale, and hopefully the finale is good because we see a lot of these Disney stuff and some of the finale does not. But I feel like Star Wars is the opposite of the Marvel stuff. I feel like the finales are usually really strong, so I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I hope that in the finale we get some cool, obviously, scenes with Thrawn, him being the big brain general that he is, and, the fact that he is kind of coming back is kind of cool, even though I don't know much about him other than within this show. All I know is that it's a pretty threatening force, and within these 2 episodes alone, I've seen what he's been able to do, even though that he's like, all right, we lost, but you know what? We got time on our side, and I was like, oh, shit, he's always, like, thinking ahead, and I think that that's sort of his main character trait. So I hope that maybe in the finale he wins. Who knows? Then maybe it'll set up a season 2 or some other show like that. But yeah, I'm excited to see how Ahsoka ends. Hopefully well.
Yeah, hopefully well. That's all we can really hope for with finales. So.
All right. Is there anything else you would like to add, good sir?
Nope, that is everything.
All right. So thank you guys for listening to the Travis and Name Podcast, episode 122. We will see you guys 2 weeks from now with another episode.
Later.